It is the third closest planet from its star in a solar system that is traveling in the outer reaches of the Milky Way galaxy. This is Earth, formed over 4.5 billion years ago, and it has a history that is not known to many. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at some of the most mind-blowing facts about this little blue speck of dust that we call home. 400 million years ago, Earth would have looked a lot different from today's standard. During this period of Earth history, plant life was just starting to take form, and vegetation such as trees and bushes were a rarity. Some trees did exist, but these would not have grown more than just a few feet tall. Despite the lack of trees, gigantic spires of life still poked from Earth's surface, but not in a form that we might expect. These were massive mushrooms called prototaxites, which grew up to 24 feet tall and 3 feet wide, creating what can only be described as fantasy-like forests, which would have stood out in an otherwise seemingly empty landscape. The best explanation for their appearance seems to be that of a closed umbrella, since they were very slender and cone-shaped. $3.9 billion years ago, just a few hundred million years after its formation, Earth was still in what can be described as its infant phase. During this period, a bombardment began on the planet, which would last for over 20 million years, as it was attacked by a hail of meteors comprised of the debris left over from the formation of the solar system. Trapped deep within these meteors were small amounts of water, and as the meteors crashed down towards the surface of the planet, seemingly bringing chaos and destruction, they carried with them the most vital ingredient for life. Though each meteor only carried very small amounts of water, the bombardment lasted for such a long time that pools of water started to grow, and eventually the entire surface was covered in water. Because of this, every drop of water in the ocean today might be billions of years old and may have traveled millions of miles to reach us. 4.3 billion years ago, only moments after the formation of the Earth, the early solar system was still in complete chaos. So much so that a planet traveling 20 times the speed of a bullet was heading straight towards the newly formed Earth. This was Theia, a Mars-sized protoplanet whose orbit had been disturbed by the formation of Venus and Jupiter. When Earth and Theia collided, they did so straight on, and this forced trillions of tons of debris to be blasted out into space. Over the next 1,000 years, gravity turned the debris into circles of dust, which circulated Earth, and as the dust particles collided with each other, a ball started to take form. This was the birth of our Moon. The Moon, after its formation, was much closer to Earth than it is today, just 14,000 miles away, compared to 250,000 miles like it is today. Earth is usually called the blue planet, and rightfully so, but when we think of Earth we usually think of nature, which is symbolized by the color green. The reason being because of the molecule chlorophyll, which plants use to perform photosynthesis, turning carbon dioxide and sunlight into simple forms of sugar on which they live. A molecule that mainly absorbs blue and red wavelengths of light and reflects the green ones, giving plants their leafy colors. This might not always have been the case though, since scientists now claim that the earliest plant life that formed on Earth might actually have been purple instead. These early life forms might have used another light-sensitive molecule called retinol to perform their photosynthesis, a molecule which absorbs green light and reflects back red and violet light. For a short time, green and purple plants coexisted, but eventually the balance tipped in favor for chlorophyll, simply because it's more efficient than retinol, making better use of the light that it absorbs. "750 million years ago, as the supercontinent of Rodinia starts to break apart, a legion of volcanoes emerges from the ground, spewing out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide mixes with the water already present in the atmosphere and is turned into acid rain, which pours down on the rocks that were lifted from beneath the ground by the separation of the supercontinent. The rain is quickly absorbed by the newly surfaced rocks, and suddenly there is not enough CO2 in the air to trap the sun's heat around the planet. In just a few thousand years, the temperature of the planet plummets, and a period of Earth history simply known as the Snowball Earth begins. It is the longest and coldest ice age ever to grip the planet. An ice sheet 10,000 feet high covers the planet and turns it into a frozen ball of ice. Virtually all of the sun's light and warmth is reflected back into space, and had it not been for one simple reason, Earth might never have returned to a state possible for harboring life as we know it. Earth is tectonically active, and the actual core of the planet is hotter than the surface of the sun. Volcanoes eventually start to break the icy surface, spewing out billions of tons of carbon dioxide into the air. And since almost all of the Earth's surface is covered in ice, there is nothing to absorb all of this CO2. It fills the atmosphere and, like a blanket, traps the sun's warmth around the planet, allowing the ice to heat up and melt. Even more volcanoes emerges from the ground, which pushes the momentum of the melting, releasing massive amounts of oxygen into the atmosphere, oxygen needed to kickstart life on land.